Hey, it's Ed Burns. Check out Public Morals, my new show about New York City cops in the 1960s and the vices they managed. Tuesday, August 25th at 10/9 Central, only on TNT.
We're coming to you from the DraftKings.com podcasting studios. DraftKings.com, America's one-day fantasy sports site, where it's like a new season every time you play. DraftKings.com.
Now, the right time with Bomani Jones on ESPN Radio.
And ESPNRadio.com.
Welcome to the right time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the new ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. You can send me a tweet at the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. That is at Bomani_Jones. I'm going to start with telling you something that is just a couple of days old and then explain to you why this is a thing to be concerned, not really concerned about, but a modern issue also. Well, modern is really the right word because this thing happened 4 days ago. 4 days ago. This is from, NFL.com. The headline is, NFL issues memo reminding clubs of prohibition on fighting. Yes. NFL Executive Vice President of Football Operations Troy Vincent issued a memo to all clubs reminding them that the prohibition on fighting is a point of emphasis for the 2015 season. NFL media insider Ian Rappaport obtained a copy of the memo, which was sent to all clubs. So anyway, the Rams and the Cowboys had a inter-squad, scrimmage today. Shannon, they was fighting.
They were doing more than fighting.
And I didn't even see what started it. Like, I just saw the video of the fight, and I got to tell you, you got to get your hands on this one if you haven't seen it already. Because as much fighting as you can do wearing a football uniform. But the best part was, so Jared Cook came and hit somebody with a crackback block, right? And then number 70 for the Rams, I don't know who he is. People have told me that he went to Miami, but we don't pay attention to them around here. Anyway, he was ready, he looked like he was ready to take somebody out in one place, and then it didn't happen, and then he saw some dude coming, and then he went and took him out. And let me tell you something about number 70, man. That was not his first rodeo. I don't know if it's about football fights or bar fights or whatever it is, but he took this one dude down, and then he backed up, got that head on a swivel, established his base. Shannon, number 29 for the Cowboys, ran up on him, and apparently the road to number 70, I'm going to start calling number 70 Damascus. Because number 29 was on that road to Damascus and fell off his ass. He was there and went, oh, no. And then he turned around and he saw a dude wearing number 12. And then he decided to fight him.
His name is Brandon Washington, the offensive lineman for the Rams. He actually tweeted about it, too. He said, I had my main man's back. And he tweeted at Demetrius Rainey, who was another Rams player.
Who?
Yeah, regardless. He had his man's back, though.
He did, but dog, he did have his man's back, though. And he didn't need anybody to have his. Like, he knows how to set himself up in the midst of chaos to where he's got his own back.
He looked like he was preparing for a blitz.
He was ready. It really did look like he was pass blocking. Like, all those drills he been doing, he was set. And I told you, man, that defensive back, I don't know what that dude was thinking. Like, did he think that dude's jersey said number 10? Like, he doesn't have 20/20 vision? Because he got up on Buddy. Buddy had those hands up. And he's like, hey, no, I'm good. And then he went the other way, right? And then the fight went over to the rail, and everybody's over there fighting. Everybody's jumping on his shit. And I saw a shot from another angle with Dez Bryant, because it's the Cowboys' defense and the Rams' offense.
Right.
Dez Bryant was all the way off the field, on the sideline, and the fight got started. And we now know Dez Bryant is that guy who, rather than running from the fight, runs to the fight.
And I think he was talking to Jerry Jones at the time, too.
Yes.
Like, hold on, Jerry. I'll be right back. I got to go handle something.
He'd say he did that because he done already signed that extension. If he hadn't already signed that extension, he'd be standing next to Jerry Jones. So Jerry Jones got tired of talking. But he ran all the way over there. FYI, guys, like, it wasn't going to happen in a football game because this isn't the last Boy Scout. But that's a great way to get shot. Chad, I don't know about you, but I learned my lesson about running toward the fight a long time ago.
As did I. I was someone, in my fraternity, we used to throw parties. I was the one trying to break up the fight because I ain't with the party.
Oh, no, that's a different one. You were breaking up fights?
Nah, and I learned my lesson, though, when I caught a two-piece, though, trying to break up a fight started by ill will. I remember that, Will.
My homeboy told me he learned his lesson trying to break up a fight when he caught that bottle to the head.
Wow.
Yeah, hey, man. Look, he was at a club. The fight started. He decided to break it up. I ain't breaking up nobody's fight. Nobody's fight. Like, no, it's just not happening. Why? Because I don't care that much about peace. Like, peace is cool, don't get me wrong. But if it's y'all fighting, that typically doesn't have very much to do with me. But they was out there scrapping. They got against the wall. And then once they got against the fence, man, everybody was jumping in to fight. Why? Because they wanted to. Like, by the time it got to the end, and especially since nobody's really throwing any punches because everybody's got pads on, right? What is it, man? It's just a bunch of dudes. I mean, by that time, I imagine it just had to get fun. Just something to do. Them dudes are tired of hanging out with each other. These dudes are tired of practice. They tired of everything else, right? A fight got started. You know what that was? Something new to do. And so they went ahead and did it. That's it. Like the league sending this thing about the prohibition against fighting. Good luck with that one, Chief. Good luck. Now, the funny part, Shannon, you mentioned this earlier. How are the fans receiving this?
They loved it.
Yeah, they loved every minute of it. They loved every minute of it. But see, that's where it gets to be interesting to me about the NFL. Because the NFL is like, yo, y'all got to cut this fighting out. And a lot of us are like, what are you talking about? People love it. Here's what the NFL is saying, though. It's a slippery slope. Slope is mad slippery. It's a thin line between y'all enjoying the fights and y'all talking about us like we're the NBA.
Yeah, we're going to discourage our players from fighting, but if you do want to see the fight, you can come to the team's website where we'll have the video posted up.
I guarantee you the Cowboys will be the first people to tweet this out because they did that with the Dez Bryant fight because they're like, look, somebody's going to get the hits. We can't hide this. Like, we might as well be the one to go ahead and get the hits. So, like, I totally understood it, but the league, I feel like so much of what the league does is like, yo, man, y'all ain't about to be talking about us like y'all talk about the NBA. Like, you do realize with all the legal trouble and everything else that NFL players get into, people still think the NBA is the league of hoodlums. Right? Anything goes on in the NBA and the rhetoric that surrounds it, it doesn't happen to the NFL. You know why it doesn't happen in the NFL? Because all those cats are in uniforms that are exactly the same, and if your socks are too long, they're going to fine you. The NFL has order. Like, they give the impression that they maintain order. The NBA is seen as a place where the players are in charge. The NFL is not like that. Like, we look, the players are in charge of the NBA, just to be clear. They're not in charge in the NFL. And so much is done at every turn to make sure that they don't think that they are in charge. And so when these cats are out here fighting, it looks like they think they in charge. Nah, man. The NFL is never, ever having that. So no matter how much you enjoy these fights, nah. They're going to shut these down, or at least they're going to try. I just don't know how. So what we want y'all to do is we want y'all to knock the hell out of each other, but don't knock the hell out of each other. You understand what I mean? Okay, so what I mean is, right, it's cool. When them guys come over the middle, hit them as hard, like, we get that, man, hit them as hard as they can in the stomach. Don't hit them in the head or nothing like that, but you do that. But, we don't want you, like, throwing punches and stuff while y'all have pads on. Like, what are you afraid of? Seriously, what are you afraid of? There's no real functional concern here. They just don't like the way that it looks. Shannon, it looked like a lot of fun to me.
I wonder, instead of calling it fighting, what if we just called it a drill?
What can we make a drill out of this? The bar fight drill?
The bar fight drill? The protect your neck drill?
Yeah. Like that's what we need to do. We need to figure out a way that when a fight breaks out, everybody's like, oh, no, they're just doing the drill.
They're doing the Brandon Washington.
There we go. Dude, I'm telling you, man, if this football thing doesn't work out for Brandon Washington, if I ever need security, he's the first dude I'm calling. Like, his instincts are impeccable. You can't teach that. You can't coach that. Like, he figured that out I'm telling you. When number 29 ran up on him and was like, oh, my bad. I thought you was somebody else. I tell you about my brother tells his story about when he was in high school. He had gone to a new school, and he had decided the way he was going to make his rep was that he was going to start a fight, and he had sized up the buster that he was going to fight to make his rep. and he's in the cafeteria before school and the gym, and he's talking to smack to the Buster. And Buster said something about fighting, so he came over like, yeah, we can fight. And the closer he got, the more he realized, hey, that's not who I thought that was. In fact, this is a gentleman who has a reputation for delivering the hands. And so he tried to get out of it. And when he tried to get out of it, the dude called him the B word. And so you know what that meant.
Yeah,
He had to fight. He had to fight. He had to fight. And he lost. He lost. The only thing he was happy about is that he didn't die. That's how I feel like he did, that number 29 was with number 70. Like, he got all the way up to him. Man, I got to go over here.
Bomani.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the new ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. I got my man Mike Smith joining us next segment. Michael Smith of His and Hers. He'll be joining us at 9:30, talking about various NFL topics. Right now, Shannon, remember when everybody loved Robert Griffin?
Well, those were the days.
Those were the days. It was just 3 years ago. Everybody loved Robert Griffin. He had a Heisman Trophy. He said all the right things. He went out there and he balled. He had that ridiculous hair, but y'all let him slide for that because y'all love Robert Griffin.
Struggle braids.
Look like he just got it back from the inkwell. But y'all loved Robert Griffin for that. Who else? Anybody else still out there rocking them 2 strands that he got? He out there looking like the brat? Who else we got? Nobody? Okay. So anyway, in the intervening time period, Mike Shanahan ran Robert Griffin into the ground. Robert Griffin tried to come back too quickly from being run into the ground. Everybody started hating Robert Griffin. He's the same dude he's always been. Like, I wondered the first year when people were going to get around to realizing that they didn't actually like him that much, right? That he wasn't Cam Newton, and that was what did the job and everything else. But people just didn't really like Robert that much because I think they had him as the humble guy.
Right.
Kinda. Little, sort of.
He has a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah. Like, in the end, the 30 for 30 on Robert Griffin is going to be fantastic. Because this is such an amazing, bizarre story. Never seen anything like this before in my life. Coaches run him down. We jump to his defense. He wants to come back. Everybody hates him afterwards. Right? So, Griffin, yesterday, got a thing started because he had the audacity to say that when I play, I believe I'm the best player out there. He's like, I know there are people who've done more than me, and I got to prove myself, but I'm trying, I want to be better. Like, that's what he said.
I don't feel like I have to come out here and show anybody anything or why I'm better than this guy or better than that guy. It's more about going out and affirming that. For me, I go out and I play. I know I'm the best quarterback on this team. I feel like I'm the best quarterback in the league, and I have to go out and show that. Any athlete at any level, if they concede to someone else, they're not a top competitor. They're not trying to be the best that they can be. There's guys in this league that have done way more than me. But I still view myself as the best because that's what I work towards every single day. So when I step out on that field, it's time for me to go out and prove it, and that's what I do every time.
Now, one thing I find, by the way, is a lot of you guys just don't appreciate confidence. Like, confidence intimidates you. Like, somebody who's willing to say those things about themselves, you feel like they don't have the right to do that because you don't feel good about yourself. So how dare Robert Griffin, not being as good as we thought he was going to be, feel that way about himself? But he ultimately didn't say anything wrong. He didn't say he was the best quarterback in the league. We, as an industry, irresponsibly pulled that out and made a thing out of it, and we knew damn well that wasn't what he said. So what the justification was for people after that was, well, he should have known not to say it because ... Like, we ain't the because. Like, we're not the because. We are the because. That's why this becomes a thing. So Griffin came back today, and Griffin talked to a small number of reporters. And here's the quote from Griffin that he told them. He said, I know what I meant. I think everyone in this circle knows what I meant. It's unfortunate that my name keeps getting used for headlines for people to click on stories. I know what I want to be, and I know what I strive to be. I'm not going to make any apologies for that. Shannon, I'm with that.
No, kudos to him. I mean, he's honest. He's real. He's right.
Yeah. I'm all day long with him about that. I don't think he should have to apologize for that. And it's clear people want him to bow down. Like, that's what it is. The whole idea that he's too cocky and everything else, people do want him to bow down to them. And he ain't doing it. And if there's anything I respect about the dude, it's that he's not doing it. This isn't going the way he wanted to do. This ain't going the way he thought it would, but he's not backing down. Now, confidence-wise, when he plays on the field, I don't think it's there. Like, we'll see when the regular season comes around, but the confidence he had prior is not there. And I honestly don't think he knows what to do with that because he's always projected this level of confidence that I think, looking at him as a younger person than me, I feel like he's younger than me in a way that allows me to talk about him like I would talk about like a younger brother, right? Not like he's my younger brother, but I can see like the situation he's in and the place that he's in. I think there are things that he needs help on that he's probably too proud to ask for help on because it's always come so easy. He's always been able to do it. Now, what he ultimately turns into, I don't know. But I do know this. I like the fact that he doesn't apologize for being confident in himself. I like the fact that he doesn't have that back down in him. I don't even like him that much, to be clear, but I like the fact that he doesn't have that back down in him. However, that big brother thing I was just talking about, Shannon, big brother say he going to need to back down a little bit.
Yeah, just a tad.
Like, this isn't worth it. And this isn't his fault. Like, I'm not blaming him for what we do as an industry. I'm telling him, though, you can't win that fight against us. You just can't. Because people have looked every way to do this. Check this one, Shannon. This is from a guy. He is a host on ESPN radio in D.C. Let me get this quote right. So Griffin says, I know what I meant. I think everyone in this circle knows what I meant. So here's what the guy says on Twitter. So now it's RG3 and his circle of reporters. Yo, man, as an industry, we have established that he should not trust us. He has established that he should not trust us. So maybe he's got a handful of 4 guys or so that he actually trusts. And those are the ones that he decided to talk to, and then it went from there, right? What do you want the dude to do? You want him to bow down. Be honest about the fact that what you want out of him is for him to bow down. Now, for his thing about viewing himself as the best and everything else, let me tell you, I'm going to try to quote it as best as I can, but it's going to wind up being a paraphrase of something I saw on the internet today. And the quote was, the problem with the world isn't people aiming high and missing. It's people aiming low and hitting. Care to guess who that quote was from? Art Briles. Right.
Wow, that sounds like that should be on a T-shirt or something, like a
right.
Robert Griffin motivational shirt.
That's the thing. It's from Art Briles. Like, Robert Griffin went to Baylor when Baylor was awful, where he didn't have a quarterbacking offer in the Big 12 other than the one from Baylor that he only got because he got an offer from Houston, and that coach wound up going to Baylor. And he was the best player in the conference, I mean, the newcomer of the year in 2008 when he got there. He tore his ACL, and then he came back to be the Heisman Trophy winner. And you're telling this dude to stop being confident? You have to be delusional to think Baylor can be good. And they were good.
Bomani.
Welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the new ESPN app. All guests join us on the Subway Fresh Take Hotline, including our next guest. If you saw Around the Horn today, he was the second best-dressed panelist on the show. I think he did a good job to rise up to that level. It's hard to be number one, but look, I do what I can. He also is the co-host of His and Hers. It's a television show and a podcast. His name is Michael Smith. Mike, what's going on?
Not much, Playboy. How you doing?
Hey, man. I'm just saying, I thought you did pretty good work today. You did your best, but, somebody's got to be number 2, right?
Hey, just do me a favor. Give me this, though. Just let me know that when I'm going to be on a schedule, and I don't get to do ATH much, lately, and it's always a treat to do it with you. That's only once in a while. Let me know that at least the night before you take extra care when it comes to your outfits. Like, you lay it out planning to kill me, right? Like, tell me I at least push you to dress even better when I'm on the show.
Actually, today I was running late and just figured out what I was going to wear while I was in the car and then changed what I got there. Hey!
Oh, man. Okay. When the last time your man from Hong Kong, you flew him in? When the last time?
I don't fly, man. He flies himself in. He came in March. He's going to be back in September. I'll let him know if he's up in your neighborhood, man.
I appreciate it. Give me some of that.
We're talking to Michael Smith and his and hers. Hey, man, what do you think about Eli Manning and the idea of him getting money around what Aaron Rodgers makes right now?
Hey, look, if I were the Giants, I wouldn't have that conversation. I mean, look, you're not the best quarterback in the league. You might have been the best quarterback in 2 postseasons in 2007 and 2011, but unfortunately for you, Eli, the best quarterback also happens to be the highest paid. Now, you could be close. You could be in the Roethlisberger area. You know, Ben's got 2 rings just like you if you want to go off for rings. But, I mean, look, Eli's a dependable quarterback. He's a solid quarterback at times, very good, but I don't think he deserves to be the highest paid quarterback. Now, as we both know, deserves got nothing to do with it. It's all about leverage and timing, and people reset the market when they come up. So he'll end up close and in the top 3, but, you know, I mean, highest paid, I mean, look, I guess it's kind of splitting hairs the more you think about it, because it's not like he's going to, you know, sign for a discount given what the franchise tag is going to be.
But it's interesting you say you think of him as a dependable quarterback, because I think of him as the quarterback that's led the league in interceptions 3 times.
By dependable, I mean starts every game.
Oh, yeah. He hadn't missed 1. That's perhaps the most amazing thing about Eli Manning. He has not missed a single start since he got that job.
Well, look at both of the brothers. I mean, if not for neck surgery, neither one of them ever missed a game.
Oh, no, ain't nobody taking their jobs. Like, the Manning brothers take every step to make sure that nobody gets a whiff of their jobs. Backup quarterback,
in practice.
Not a snap. Backup quarterback ain't never going to be anybody worth discussing. They are not giving anybody a chance to get close to that job.
You're getting all mental rep, everything.
Yeah, but also that's part of the problem for the Giants, though, right? Like, they haven't had a chance to take a quarterback in the first round or anything like that, but they haven't even done, like, the Patriots did it twice. They did it with Mallett, and then they traded him, and then the Patriots did this again with Garoppolo, where they got a plan for what's next. The Giants don't seem to have one.
Yeah, I mean, they like Nassib, and, you know, I don't know much about him other than he threw a ball 50 yards into a basket the other day at practice, which looked pretty cool on video. But apparently they like him. But, look, everything you heard about Eli sounded really good coming out of training camp. Like, he seems to be in really good shape. His arm is lively. But, I mean, you know, you hear all that kind of stuff in training camp anyway. But statistically, he had a good year. I know a lot of the stats were piled up against some of the worst teams, I believe. But it's his year 2 in the offense that he seems to be comfortable, and he's got the weapon. So, you know, I don't think Eli, if they are bad this year or average or they don't contend for the division, it doesn't seem like he's going to be the problem. I just don't know if he's good enough to be the solution. They got issues on the offensive line and defensively.
Well, I would like to make this note about Ryan Nassib. His college coach was an NFL coach of a team that needed a quarterback,
Didn't draft him.
And they took E.J. Manuel instead of taking him.
Yeah, but that dude also resigned from a job and didn't get another one, so I don't know if his decision-making is necessarily a reflection of Ryan Nassib.
He took E.J. Manuel instead of him. We're talking
and
Michael
he's
Smith.
3rd in Buffalo right now. Hey,
yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, we're talking to Michael Smith of his and hers. What do you think about Phillip Rivers and the money that he's got in San Diego? Well, yeah, it will be in San Diego. They're not. Well, he'll be in Los Angeles eventually. My bad.
Wherever they're going, he'll be okay. Him and the clan he got. What's it like? He got an 8th kid on the way. I was saying earlier, dude, I got 3. And, you know, this is the first time you and I have been on the phone and you haven't heard anything. Like, right? It's quiet in my house right now. He got 8 kids. So congratulations to him and his family. A lot of it, I'm sure, had to do with the fact that, much like the Giants not wanting to look for an alternative, San Diego about to make this move to L.A., or even if they don't, what's their plan? What's their succession plan? He's 33. He's still very good. I know he threw 18 picks last year. He's better than Eli at this point in his career. Has been for a while, if you ask me, postseasons aside. And, you know, they did what they had to do and locked him up and made him feel good about this move and being the face of the franchise for another 5 years at least. I think he can lead them to a championship if they play well around him. I think he's still that good, even if he doesn't have the liveliest of arms. He's smart, tough, got it all as far as I'm concerned. So we'll see what they could do around him if they could stop going 7-9, 8-8, 9-7 every year.
Well, let me ask you this question, just ballpark it. Of course, there are 32 teams, which means there are 32 starting quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. But how many starters are there at quarterback truly in this league?
Without going name by name and making bad radio, I guess I would say a dozen,
That's
14,
a crazy
15.
Thought. That's a crazy thought, isn't it?
Yeah, no. I mean, they got a lot of guys that play quarterback, but I don't know if more than half of them are guys you want playing quarterback.
Like, it's funny, like I'm thinking about the teams in the league. How many of them have a quarterback where, regardless of what we think of how good the quarterback is, that if that quarterback were to come open on the market, they would have no choice but to give him an extension. Like, as many of these guys that we talk bad about it, we say they're not good. We saw Matt Stafford get all that money when there's no good reason to have given him that money. We just saw Nick Foles get an extension, even if it was just a short one with the Rams. Like, this league is at a point where there are so few
Bradford about to get one.
Yeah. Bradford's going to get one, and he got one leg.
Yeah, no, it's the supply does not meet the demand. You being a economist yourself, I mean, you know about that. I mean, was also interesting. It's not only like a love the one you with type of situation. If you groom that person, if you drafted them, it's not just a love the one you're with. It's the devil you know. It's like, look, we know this. It's like the Bengals. We know Andy Dalton. We know what he is. We know what he's not. Let's just go ahead and keep him around. Why go on a search for another one? Because, I mean, the old saying is, two types of GMs, the ones that have quarterbacks and the ones that don't. And for your own job security, you're better off getting an average to slightly above average when they're keeping your job, or at least being somewhat competitive year after year, as opposed to drafting at the top and picking somebody for the next guy.
All right, last question for Michael Smith of His and Hers. Given everything we talked about with the quarterback market, if you were Andrew Luck's agent, how big is the boat that you are shopping for?
Oh, my God. Andrew Luck? Oh, God. I'm trying to think of a number that's big but not ridiculous.
I don't think you can make the number too big, to be honest.
150?
He's
total?
going to make
80 guaranteed? I don't know. I mean, I don't...
Look, honestly, let's be fair. The guys that are getting $65 million guaranteed right now, if they're getting $65 guaranteed, then Andrew Luck gets 80. Like, it's right there.
I think I'm glad you said it, too, because I'm like, is that too high? I don't think so. Dude, like, he's already in the top 5, 6. Okay, if you want to put 5 cats at him, fine. But, I mean, and that might not be giving him his due. And he's 25 years old? Look. He said he landed in the cut like, y'all go ahead and feel good about yourselves being temporarily the highest paid cats. That's different. Now, we talked about Eli off the top. When he comes up, if Aaron Rodgers is still a number one guy, that's okay. Ursay ain't crazy. You know you got the number one guy very soon.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you this, though. That money wasted on Andrew Luck. $80 million for a dude with a flip phone who ain't trying to get a new one. Hey, man, no one said the game was fair. Michael Smith, check him out on His and Hers. It's a television show. It is also a podcast. My man, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate you, bro. Thanks a lot. Take it easy.
All right.
Geico presents Strange Saving Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Now, the right time with Bomani Jones on ESPN Radio.
And ESPNradio.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the right time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the new ESPN app. All guests join us on the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. Thanks so much to Michael Smith of His and Hers for joining us last segment. I'll switch gears a little bit, not even to baseball, Shannon. Actually, let's start here with the football right fast. You say Des Bryant caught a shot in the
Apparently so. He caught a shot by number 45 on the Rams.
So he ran all the way from not being in the fight to be in the fight just to catch a shot.
Clean one, too.
Got to be a little disappointing there for Dez, don't you think? Oh, well.
That's taking two L's in a fight this training camp.
He did catch that other L. He's just so willing to fight. Like, that's why you don't want to fight Dez Bryant. He's so, like, interested in it. Like, that's your biggest danger. He's down, like, all the time. But try this on, man. Little League Softball World Series. That's right. There's a Little League Softball World Series. Shannon, did you know that there was a controversy with a game being thrown?
Oh, really?
In the Little League Softball World Series, okay? And, like, I could give you all the particulars. The particulars don't really matter. It's basically one of those situations where a team would get a more favorable seeding if it were to lose, right? So it's kind of like the tanking thing. We can get a better draft pick if we lose. So you do the things that are necessary to lose, right? You put sorry players out there. You put guys on the injured list, everything else in order for you to lose. That's tanking. There's a difference between tanking and throwing. Shannon, they said these girls were out here bunting with 2 strikes, swinging at balls that were in the dirt. Like, intentionally. What? Yes, this team is from Washington. The town is South Snohomish. Right. And they didn't want to play against this team from Iowa. So they just decided to go out there and throw the game. That was it. Shannon, you're a dad.
Right.
What would you think if your kids are out there throwing the game?
That's a bad lesson. I understand you want to win and you want to win at all costs, but that's a bad lesson that you're teaching these kids.
Well, that's the thing, man. You can't be winning at all costs with kids. Like, why is it that important to people? You can't be winning at all costs with kids.
Now, my only question is, after these kids threw this game, did the coach give them participation trophies?
That's a good question. What'd you do? Tell them great job? Did you take them out for pizza for throwing the game? Like what? How does this work? How exactly does this go? Some of you guys, if you are out there, please give us a call because I want to hear from you. 888-729-3776, okay? If you are one of these folks that really cares that much about whether a kid's team wins, I need you to call in and tell me what's wrong with you. Right? So, like, if you were coaching that team and you're like, yeah, I would tell them to do the exact same thing, I need you to call me and tell me what's wrong with you. Like, how did you get to a point where these things were that damn important to you? I need somebody to explain that to me. It can't be that. Now, look, I understand that once you get to, like, the Little League World Series level of things, that this is highly competitive. I get that. Like, we've whittled off all the sorry kids. You got your traveling all-star team, and then you're working your way through it. I understand that winning is what you want to do. I understand that the goal of it is winning. For the kids, you're coaching a kids' softball team. What is your goal? Because if your goal is not what's best for those kids, then what is wrong with you?
For a lot of these coaches, it stopped being about the kids a long time ago.
That's such a crazy thought to me.
It's true.
It's such a crazy thought to me. Like when we were talking about that with Snoop and his kid decided he didn't want to go to UCLA, right? Keep in mind, by the way, that Snoop went on Instagram the other day. Did you see that? And he put the business card up where he lists him as director of football recruiting or something like that. Like he has some title with Adidas. Shannon?
I did see that.
Well, Shannon, what brand does UCLA football wear?
That would be Adidas.
That would be Adidas. So was it about the kid? Right? Like all that stuff and everything? How much of that was about the kid?
It's an entertaining television show.
Yeah, it did. It did make an entertaining television show. But, like, it's wild to me when I see people who care this much about these things, and it's just not about the kids. And I just don't see how it got to that point where adults are that invested for themselves in youth sports. The purpose of these games cannot simply be to win them. It can't be. Because if that's the case, you teach your kids to cheat, right? Like, flat out cheat. If all you're worried about here is the winning of it, then you teach them to cheat. Like, there's no honor in throwing that game. There's just not. Like, if we're dealing with adults and paychecks and the stakes get that high, okay, fine. But the grown-up has to be out here like, no, we're going to go out here and try to win this game just like we try to win all the other games. That's what it appears to me has to be the situation. You can let me know if I got something wrong.
It's funny how you call them the grown-ups because that's what they stopped. They stopped being grown up, and they seem as though they're very childish, very immature in their actions.
It's vicarious living, right? Like, is it fair to say that that's what's going on? Is vicarious living? Actually, I'm kind of curious about that, Shannon, because your daughter does dance. Like, what kind of parents you see around there?
Oh, the dance mom and dance dad stuff is real. It's very real out here. And my daughter's pretty good at it, and she wins a good share of competitions, but we try to keep her grounded.
Your daughter's a boss.
I mean, yeah, she is and everything, but we got to at least try to keep her grounded.
I know. You know what?
I did say to my wife, though, this is what LeBron's mom feels like.
It's actually funny. I was sitting with your wife and your daughter, and I forget what she was telling me about, and I was like, so you're just good at everything. And it looked like everybody was we're trying not to say that in front of the child. We're trying.
Exactly.
We're trying not to. We're trying. We don't know what to do. We don't know what to do. But she is good at everything. That's just how it works out. She is good at everything. But tell me about Dan's dad. I hadn't thought about Dan's dad.
Oh, Dan's dad, because Dan's mom is super competitive. Dan's dad is super protective, though. They want the best, just like mom, but it's different. Like, mom wants to win for mom. Dad wants to win, really wants to win for the child. And will still go at all costs to win for the child. Because the child wins, the kid's happy, greatest dad on earth.
Right. Because dad ain't never thought about, I wish I could have won this dance contest.
Right.
Right. Mom, on the other hand, there's a good chance that mom is like, yo, I see me right now.
I don't pay this money for you to be playing around in here. That might or might not have been uttered by my wife before.
As if it was only said once.
You can play when we get home.
Man, people care, dog. People care so much. But it's like it's a longer thing. Like, I don't have children. So, like, there's a level of it that I just can't relate to. But, dude, I even look up, like, when I see these guys, these college players, and their parents are going on the road to see them play every game, like, don't you have something to do?
That's
like,
a lot
don't
of
you
money.
have your own job? Hell, I asked the same question about the Currys. Like, don't y'all have something to do? Like, it just can't be this. Like, you know, my parents come to every one of my games. Mine didn't. Mine did not come to every one of my games. And when we went on the road and she wasn't there, I only missed her if she came late to pick me up. That was it. Like, what else? But once you got your softball team out here throwing a game, and by the way, they went on to lose because Little League changed the game on them. Little League was like, nah, we ain't falling for that. And then they went out there and they lost.
Good.
Right? So what you going to tell those kids now? What did they learn?
Bomani.
Welcome to the right time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the new ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. You can send me a tweet at the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. That is at Bomani_Jones. Shannon, you're a Knicks fan.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's all right.
Hey. It's all good, though. It's all good. You got Phil Jackson in charge, right? And I think that people were too hard on Phil Jackson last year. There was nothing he was going to be able to do to make that team a winner last year. And to be honest, I don't think there was very much he was going to be able to do to make them a real attractive destination for free agents this year. Because truth be told, New York's never landed the fish. Like the big free agent that changes everything. Like, Shannon, other than like Allen Houston? Is that the best free agent that they've signed that you can think of?
We got Chris Childs that year, too.
Oh, you did get Chris Childs. You did get Chris Childs, who punched Kobe in the face, a moment that you love more than you probably should.
Probably.
But really, though, other than Allen Houston, who's the free agent? Like, things are going to have to break right. And I imagine that they can for the right dude at the right time or whatever, but they weren't going to – the guys that were out there right now, the Knicks were going to wind up getting them. Like, it's not Melo's fault and everything else. They got a lot of roster cleanup that they need to do, and I'm inclined to give Phil a little time to see what happens. I also understand that Phil Jackson is new to this executiving thing. That's not a word, but whatever. Shannon, why you do the hand thing like he was like the blah blah blah?
He's doing a lot of talking.
He is doing a lot of talking.
He's doing way too much talking.
He does a lot of talking, and you can do that kind of talking when you're the coach. I mean, the general manager or whatever his official title is, I think it's somewhat questionable whether that's the approach that you should take. So he's been doing these interviews with ESPN.com with Charlie Rosen, who is a friend of Phil's, right? And the most recent thing that he said was about Kristaps Porzingis, KP, as they call him. Although I think his nickname once he hits the league is going to be World Star, because he said he learned about American culture via World Star. I can't wait to hear what his accent sounds like at the end of the year. I love nothing more than people who become truly acclimated to American culture via the NBA. Like, there's nothing in this world better than that. When the end of the season comes and he starts hitting you with the, yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's when we will have known that there will be some level of victory. You remember George Mearson used to be out here, like, wearing the cross colors and all that stuff? You remember that? That's how he learned about America. He was hanging with the Bullets. Like, that's how it goes. That's what Porzingis is going to be. Yes, I mean, it's coming.
When he starts using B at the end of his sentences.
Yes, it's coming. He's going to be
trying
so
to get my
disappointed.
shots up, B.
He's going to be so disappointed when he sees what's happened to Brooklyn. Like, I imagine what he's dreamed up about going to Brooklyn. So go to Bed-Stuy. And you're going to get there, and, yeah, let's just say Biggie House, it looks a little different, probably, than it had previously.
This is not the Fulton Street that they told me about.
Dude, I was in Brooklyn a few months ago, and I walked past a project. Because you know a project build. When you see a project build, apparently they were all designed and built by, like, the same dude, right? All the project, especially in New York, all the project buildings look exactly the same. Shannon, they have turned that project building into a dormitory for a college. A college is now using a project as a dorm. That's what Brooklyn's talking about right now. When Porzingis find that out, man, he's going to cry. Anyway, here's what Phil Jackson said about Porzingis. He said he worries that Porzingis might be like Sean Bradley. Now, hold on. This is what he meant. He said he worries that Porzingis will not be able to develop the core strength necessary to bang around with guys in the post and to anchor, to be ready for guys driving through the lane and stuff like that.
And Sean Bradley's the guy that you thought of, huh? Sean Bradley's the first guy that came to your mind. Like, who's a tall, big man? Oh, Sean Bradley. Let's go with him. What, Rick Smits wasn't available?
Who he referred to as a pretty good player. How does that make you feel about your general manager right now? Shannon, he called Sean Bradley a pretty good player.
Yeah, my confidence is waning at this point.
Look, man, Phil might think that Sean Bradley is a really good player. He might, but you can't do this to the young man coming to the NBA. Right? You can't do that. I think he's going to be like Sean Bradley. You know what just happened? Every dude in the league just started making plans on dunking on your number one pick. You remember Tracy McGrady put that one on Sean Bradley in the playoffs and swung around on him, and they asked him after the game about it, and he said, well, I wasn't going to dunk, and then I saw Sean Bradley, and then I had to dunk. He's a poster model. Like, that's what we know him as in the league, as a poster model. Don't tell your people that you're afraid that you're number one pick. Like, on one hand, I appreciate the honesty, right? On the other hand, Shannon, how excited are you about Sean Bradley playing for your Knicks?
Nah.
Who was it that punched Sean Bradley in the mouth that one time and then he just started bleeding? Yeah, look that up. Somebody stole off on Sean Bradley one time. I don't even know what he did. Like, it's hard to imagine Sean Bradley could do something to make somebody steal off on him. I also imagine there's like a generation.
Walt Williams.
It was who?
I believe it was Walt Williams. Let me check on that.
Yeah, that sounds about right. You know, there's a generation of kids that don't know anything about Sean Bradley. Like, this is new to them. Sean Bradley was 7'6", right? He played 1 year of college. He went and did his mission, and he was the number 2 pick. He was the number 2 pick in the draft, in between Chris Webber and Anthony Hardaway. And they got him, and it was ironic because they needed him to gain all that weight, but at the time, the guy that owned the Sixers was the dude behind Nutrisystem. So a guy who had made his fortune trying to get people to lose weight was trying to get Sean Bradley to gain weight. And look, I'm a really skinny dude, right? Trying to gain weight by force is exhausting and excruciating and really, really boring because you eat all that food and then you gain like half a pound. And then you eat all that food and you weigh the same thing that you did yesterday. So Sean Bradley wasn't with it. So then Sean Bradley wound up in Dallas. Remember that, Shannon? That was after Don Nelson had left the Knicks. That's right. Don Nelson coached the Knicks. And remember, it didn't go so well for him with the Knicks. 1 year. And he just basically, he said to the Knicks what my school bus driver once told us, I believe when I was in 7th grade on the day she quit. When she looked at us, Miss Susie looked at us and said, and let's just say Miss Susie did not look like us.
Got it.
Okay. Miss Susie looked at us and said that she would, and I quote, she said, I would rather cut grass and pick cotton than drive this damn bus. And she rolled out. That's basically what Don Nelson did. Don Nelson got to New York. Patrick Ewing wasn't listening to nothing Don Nelson said. Nobody was listening to Don Nelson, so Don Nelson went ahead and quit. And then Don Nelson got to Dallas, and remember, he was on this, I'm old school. Like, he decided he was going to be the keeper of the old school. I'm old school. But part of him being old school was he put together a team where none of the black dudes were taller than him, it seemed like. None of them were. And Sean Bradley was on that team, getting dunked on. There's your man Porzingis right there, Shannon.
Hooray.
I think he can be good. Like, from what I've been hearing, because I don't do projections on international players, because don't get me to lying. But if he's 7'3" and can play anything on the perimeter at all, I mean, he can be really, really, really good. However, can I tell you something that Dan told me at work today? Dan said that the Heat had their draft board with their top 10 players on it. And 10 of those players went in the top 10. 9 of those players went in the top 10. Said the only guy that went in the top 10 that they did not have in their top 10 was Porzingis. He was number 12. And would you like to know why he was not in their top 10?
What's up?
They were afraid that he was a little bit like Sean Bradley.
They use Sean Bradley too?
They were afraid he was going to be like Sean Bradley. Are we sure we're not being racist, though? You ever notice nobody ever says you're going to be like Manu Bowl? Everybody just says Sean Bradley. Nobody saying he could be Ralph Sampson, Shannon. He could be Ralph Sampson.
Give him 2 solid years?
They had 3. They made the finals in his 3rd. 3 solid years. And Ralph Sampson tried to beat up all the Boston Celtics at the same damn time.
Bomani.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening to ESPN Radio and the new ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. And Shannon, I was wrong. I'm looking at these Mavericks teams. I had overestimated how tall Don Nelson was. There were some black dudes on the team that were taller than him. He had Juwan Howard for 27 games.
Oh, okay.
1 year. Like, I'm looking at another. We had Calvin Booth. I will tell you this, though. These big black dudes weren't getting a lot of run. Like Calvin Booth, that's 15 games that year.
Penn State legend.
Yeah, boy, Penn State. He's played games in front of crowds so small in his life. Oh, he got another year out of Juwan Howard. Okay, my bad. It wasn't all the way exact, but no, Sean Bradley. Sean Bradley got minutes. Switching gears here. Shannon, why won't the Kings just trade DeMarcus Cousins?
If they were going to do that, shouldn't they have done that before the draft?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. But this is so crazy, right? This is so crazy. And the reason I say that it's so crazy is that DeMarcus Cousins is really good, but I don't think that you want to be in a situation necessarily where DeMarcus Cousins is your best player. Like, I don't know how much winning you're going to do if DeMarcus Cousins is your best player. The problem is that he's been on a team where he's been the best player by far, and everything else around him is chaos, that it's really difficult to tell in a lot of ways exactly how good he is. Like, not as just as an individual player, but as a building block. So Cousins has been the guy that Sacramento wants to build around, except for the fact that so many guys, they want him gone. George Kahrl, he wants him gone. That seem about fair?
Yep.
George Kahrl wants him gone. We have seen a coach get fired for the way that he treated DeMarcus Cousins. That's what happened to Paul Westphal, the guy who did like DeMarcus Cousins. For some reason, they fired him, and then they hired another coach in Tyrone Corbin, and it did not go well, so then they fired him, and then they hired George Kahrl, and wow, who ever thought that George Kahrl and DeMarcus Cousins wouldn't get along?
Who knew?
Who knew? So now more trade rumor comes out. Another trade rumor comes out. Howard Beck, good dude at Bleacher Report, he has the Kings want to trade him. And DeMarcus Cousins replied to that on Twitter with blah, blah, blah. I think Vlade Divac got on Twitter with something condescending. And Vivek Randave, the owner of the franchise, he got on and he said, "We are family." Look, saying that you're family, I know a lot of families, champ. Like, you say we are family, and a lot of families I don't want to be no part of.
That doesn't make it any better.
Oh, boy, that's one of those things you learn in your life as you start dating a little bit more. Like, wow. Not everybody's parents are as sane as mine. Because this family they got in Sacramento is crazy. Like, you realize we're doing all this talking about DeMarcus Cousins. My thing is I feel like they need to just go ahead and trade him at this point. Like, I don't even know if it matters necessarily if they can get value back for him, because the reality is they can't get value back for him. By the time they finally make the decision that they're going to have to trade DeMarcus Cousins, it's going to get so bad up there, they're going to have to give him up for pennies on the dollar. I feel like you need to hurry up and trade DeMarcus Cousins before he has to grab Rondo by the throat. In case you forgot, Rondo plays for them now. Hey, you forgot?
Yes.
You forgot?
Yes.
Rondo,
can we get a behind the scenes like every night of the Kings?
Rondo's playing for his career at this point. Like, we're all so done with Rondo. He is playing for his career at this point, and he's out there doing it with DeMarcus Cousins and with George Kahrl as the coach. And doesn't Rudy Gay play for them?
Mm-hmm.
So how's this going to go the first time that Rondo dribbles out 19 seconds of the shot clock?
And waves off George Kahrl.
Yes. How long is that going to be? Well, to be fair, though, George Kahrl gives offensive freedom. Like, that's the one thing he's always known for. He's giving freedom to his offense. So it'll work out okay in that regard for Rondo. The only thing I would say, though, with that is Kahrl wants to push it up and down the floor. Rondo, he's not here for that at all. And he's also scared to shoot.
And you got to ask also, can Cousins make it up and down the court in the style that, in the tempo and the pace that Kahrl wants to run?
Yeah, but see, I don't think that matters that much, because I don't think it matters if Cousins is the last guy down the floor. Like, we saw the Showtime Lakers running with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at the age of 77, right? Like, I mean, I think if Cousins eventually gets down there, then they're going to be able to figure things out. The problem is Rondo regulating how much he touches the ball. And then, if that's the situation, so when Rudy Gay gets the ball, you know it's going straight up. Because that's what happens. When guys don't get the ball enough, you got to shoot when you got the chance. That's what you got, you know?
I'll give the Kings credit though. They probably don't want this kind of credit, but at least we're talking about them.
Yeah, I mean they play very, very far away. Like we're not going to watch them play very much.
But we're talking about them.
Yeah, we are talking about them. They're not going to want it though. Like they're not going to want it at all. I can't wait to see that team play. Like that's a league pass team right there. I've never heard of a team that had greater potential to start fighting each other in the middle of the game. And in the middle of it is Boogie. And so the thing with me and DeMarcus Cousins has always been this. I can never tell what exactly is and is not a legitimate criticism of Cousins. Because Cousins has this one gigantic problem. He's big and he's black and people are afraid of him. Like if DeMarcus Cousins were 6'3", with the same personality that he has, we're not having these issues. Like, people don't talk about him in the ways that they do. Yes, he has been childish at various points and everything else, but he also reached that Rasheed Wallace point where they're giving him text for staring, basically. Like, he got there. You got to that point where Paul Westphal ran that suspension on him, and Westphal got fired for it because Westphal basically tried to do it without telling anybody. And they're like, yo, the way you're treating Boogie is ridiculous. And then they fired him. But the problem is it's hard to tell the line between somebody treating Boogie unfairly or when the Kings are enabling him. Like, I don't have any idea what the difference is in those situations. I really don't. But I am inclined to have a certain level of sympathy for the dude, like with Team USA, where he said he wanted to talk to Jerry Colangelo because he's like, look, I hear the things that people are saying about me or what your problem is with me. I just like for you to talk to me about it Because it seems like people do a lot of talking about Cousins and not nearly as much talking to Cousins. And the reason they don't do as much talking to Cousins is because they're afraid of him. Like, that's what it all shakes out. Like, Cal didn't seem to have all these same problems with Cousins. And you know why? Because Cal ain't afraid of him. He's just not. And so I always feel like that clouds people's vision or their impressions that they have when they talk about him. And it's so hard for me to tell from a distance where Cousins is right, where Cousins is wrong. But if this team stays together as it is, he will wind up being wrong. Now, here's some guy named Brian who says, Rondo will get everyone shots. That's the one thing he will do, and Cousins' blackness has nothing to do with punching teammates. Huh? Shannon, am I confused here? Did I miss something?
Huh?
You understand what I'm saying, though, about Cousins. The perceptions that people have had about Cousins from the very beginning, they're not having them if he's 6'5".
Yeah, they're intimidated by his size. I think that has a lot to do with it.
Take Cousins' track record, compare it to Lance Stephenson's, right? And as many problems as people have with Lance Stephenson, they don't talk about him in the ominous terms that they talk about DeMarcus Cousins in. They just don't. Like, people are afraid of him.
And now, for Geico's edition of Stuff Found in Your Car, we go inside your side door pocket.
Hello, yes, the crumpled receipt with gum in it. From your anniversary dinner, you sprang for expensive wine, your server was Beth. That dinner was a couple $100. Money you could get back if you switched to Geico and saved hundreds of dollars on your car insurance. I bet you'd save that receipt. Frame it even. But really, where did I go wrong? Was it the corkage fee?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com today.
Now, the right time with Bomani Jones on ESPN Radio.
And ESPNRadio.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the right time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the new ESPN app. All guests join us on the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. Like our next guest, she writes about Major League Baseball for ESPN.com. Her name is Christina Kahrl. Christina, how are you?
Pretty good about you, Bomani.
I am doing just fine, and apparently while I was at work today, the Red Sox decided to overhaul everything, and Ben Cherington is out as general manager, and Dave Dombrowski is in to run the operation. What do you think about that?
I think it's very similar to how he took over in Detroit. I mean, it wasn't very long before he forced Randy Smith out the door, and here he is already, stepping into a similar situation with a franchise with high expectations, and then, it's like he's barely gotten his foot in the door, and already he's basically calling the shots. So it's pretty impressive. I mean, just that, the Red Sox are willing to make a change that quickly. It's kind of surprised. Ben Cherington, didn't get that many years to prove what he could do. But, again, with that much money at stake and high expectations in Boston, what are you going to do?
Well, I think the Red Sox are at an interesting place where it's been all big changes in the last couple of years. You finish in last place, you make the big overhaul trade with the Dodgers, you win the World Series, and then shortly thereafter you wind up in last place again. Like, how much work is needed to be done to fix the situation there?
Well, I think clearly, they've got a lot of position-playing talent, and so that's already led to some significant speculation about what they're going to do as far as, who's going to play in the outfield, where is Hanley Ramirez going to end up playing as far as a position. Some people have already speculated that they should deal Pablo Sandoval when they only just signed him to a multi-year contract this past offseason. So there's so many moving parts there, but the big disappointment, probably the reason why Ben Cherington is, on his way out the door, is really because they didn't add the big names in the rotation. They didn't get that ace starter. They wound up with making a huge bet on Rick Porcello, and that, Rick Porcello looks like a guy who, in the best of times, might be a number 3 or a good number 4, but he's not having a good year, and for the amount of money that the Red Sox put up on him, now, that's kind of what Ben Cherington has to, where is, the decision to make that kind of commitment to him, and he's not the difference maker in the rotation that the Red Sox so desperately need.
All right, talking to Christina Kahrl of ESPN.com. Switching gears to the National League, the East, are you done with the Nationals? Is it time to give up on them yet?
Oh, I think they are speaking of a team that we all thought had too many quality starting pitchers, and now, it just doesn't look good. Max Scherzer is the only guy who seems to be going well in that rotation. Steven Strasburg has only doubled down on huge disappointments. Jordan Zimmerman had his huge year last year, but didn't take it up a notch this year. And they're left with, even though everybody thought, the Nationals had the depth and the talent to be able to endure anything, really you just have Scherzer and Bryce Harper as the two players who are delivering, and the rest of that roster is fundamentally just frustrating expectations. Are they done this year? Yeah, I don't see how they can get it turned around unless it's going to be really hard, and I don't know if that involves a leadership change, if that, again, you want to talk about a team that has, major responsibilities, major financial commitments, and huge disappointment. It's going to be a very interesting winter when they don't win the NL East.
I feel like that was you trying to be nice and not saying that Matt Williams has got to go and got to go pronto.
Well, we're being nice about it, maybe, yes.
All right, talking to Christina Kahrl of ESPN.com. So does this mean that we can really buy in on this Mets thing? Because I think I was talking to John Manuel of Baseball America last week, and I was like, we look at all the things about the Mets, and the thing that really makes us uncomfortable, I think, is the jerseys they wear.
Well, maybe, but I think, again, look at it just – I loved the Cespedes trade. Curtis Granderson just had a huge night tonight, a couple home runs. I Travis d'Arnaud is back, and he was a guy before the year we were all pegging to have a big bust-out season. Now, the amount of time he's missed with injury, but now he's back, and he's in the middle of that lineup, and Lucas Duda seems to be coming around. I actually think the Mets are going to be really strong down the stretch on offense, and then on top of that, great rotation. Yeah, no, this is a team that nobody would want to play in October if they go in all cylinders firing. They're scary.
Well, let's ask this about October with that team when it comes around there. Do you worry about the home-road splits on these teams once you get to the postseason? Because the Mets have been awful on the road this year.
I don't worry that much about it because I think, again, that's just something where come the postseason, come the opportunities of the postseason, I think that are going to be fine. And again, they're going to be a division winner. It's not like they've got a one play-in or go-home kind of game situation. So when they win the East, they're going to sort things out in October as best they can.
All right, talking to Christina Kahrl of ESPN.com, talking some Major League Baseball. And you start talking about those two wild cards. The Angels were a team that early it looked like they were going to have a good chance to win the West and all the money, of course, that they've spent. And now it's all going to come down to one game, at least it seems like, because the Astros, better on run differential, seem 2.5 games ahead of them now. How do you feel about them going down the stretch?
I think the Angels could be, the West Coast answer to the Nationals in terms of huge disappointment. Hey, they even wear the same colors. But, and huge stars who are just not going to be, who are not making the difference because the rest of that roster, the rest of that lineup isn't as good as people expected. Right now, look at how much that rotation is depending on rookie Andrew Heaney. He's been awesome, but outside of him and Garrett Richards, they don't necessarily have the starting pitching to keep up with the Astros. Scott Kazmir only just had his first bad start with Houston, but there are so many things going right for the Astros right now that I really think it's their division to win. And then I don't think we can talk seriously about the Angels being even a shoe-in for a wild card. Right now, I think, they may not be as good over the last 6 weeks as the Orioles, in which case we might be seeing, 2 out of 3 teams in the AL East playing that game for the wild card. And again, if it's the Yankees or the Blue Jays, two, very interesting, very strong offensive ball clubs, but, can either one of them afford to, pitch the one starter they've got going well for them, whether, in the case of the Yankees, if that's Tanaka or whoever. But in the case of the Blue Jays, if the Blue Jays have to use Price in a wild card game, just to get past the Orioles or the Yankees in a wild card, where does that leave them in the LDS? Not in great shape. It's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out in the American League because, you have such parity in that in the league that it's just going to be interesting to see who actually finally survives or goes into good shape in October, just in terms of how they get to use their rotations to best effect. This could be the perfect scenario for the Royals to basically run the table and return to the World Series.
We've also got the off chance of the Rangers getting that wild card spot, so Josh Hamilton's team would have one and Artie Moreno's would not, which I think would make Artie Moreno's head explode.
I think that would sting. That was
I just can't
definitely
imagine. I just can't imagine how mad he would be in that situation. We're talking to Christina, Kahrl, talking Major League Baseball. The Toronto Blue Jays, you mentioned, they're one game behind the Yankees right now, but every indicator has said that they should be so much better. They made the trades, and they made that surge. You expect them to hold on in the East?
You know, I think the real problem, I mean, it really is kind of a dare for the Blue Jays because everything rests on, you know, effectively the first 4 or 5 batters in that lineup because the second half of that lineup isn't so strong. Everything depends on whether or not Price in particular delivers down the stretch and becomes one of the great all-time stretch acquisitions. And he could be. He could be that guy. He could, you know, help put them over the edge and put them past the Yankees. But right now, it just seems like the Yankees have a deeper overall lineup so that they don't have to count on, you know, Josh Donaldson, like just 1 or 2 guys having a great stretch. Whereas, you know, the Blue Jays, if Josh Donaldson has a bad month, they're in real trouble. If Jose Bautista got hurt again, they're in real trouble. If Edwin Encarnacion, I mean, they only really function on the first 4 batters in that lineup, and the rest of the lineup is just a couple of guys. So it's really not, you know, like the Blue Jays just look like a more fragile bid to make it last all the way through. They are so dependent on a couple of players' performances, whereas the Yankees are the deeper overall lineup and roster. And so that's where I kind of expect the Yankees to pull it off, even though, you know, that's where I don't think that's a good thing for the rest of baseball. But I think that's where we may well have to see what comes out of a Blue Jays versus, you know, they may have the run differential. They may, you know, like have like the star players or the star names. Josh Donaldson may well win the AL MVP, but that may not get it done.
All right, Christina, Kahrl, check her workout on Major League Baseball at ESPN.com. Thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Definitely a pleasure. Thank you.
Bomani.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the new ESPN app. All guests join us on the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. Thanks to Christina, Kahrl for joining us last segment. Thanks to Michael Smith for joining us in the first hour. His Shannon song that just played is like the smoothest death threat of all time. First line, if you want to live, you better treat me good.
Nice.
I think I'll be treating you good, Mr. Tosh. He also asks if you want to drink lead soup. Lead soup, Shannon. Lead soup. Yeah. 888-729-3776 is the telephone number. Shannon, was your man Matt Barnes out here hanging with Lloyd, dog? Was he getting down with Lloyd?
He was trying.
Was he rolling with Lloyd? That's got to be tough, man. Matt Barnes did a little interview with TMZ. They asked him about Rihanna, and he, you know, kind of gives the impression that maybe there's a thing going on. Maybe it's rolling. Maybe it's something. And then Rihanna got on the internet and shut all that down. All that down, right? Now, we didn't run today, but we interviewed Glenn Davis today on Highly Questionable, and we asked him about it. And Glenn Davis said he's got Matt Barnes back. Said that's his boy. He said he don't know why Rihanna played like that. He said he got Matt Barnes back. But, Shannon, where was this he was on earlier today on ESPN?
He was on Mike and Mike this morning.
Listen what he said on Mike and Mike.
Let me tell you something. You know, all this crazy stuff that's going on. Matt Barnes is, you know, is one of the most honest guys I know, one of the most stand-up guys I know. And then for the fact of her to go out her way to do something like that and knowing that they have interaction before.
Whoa,
like,
whoa. So they do know each other.
They do know each other. Yeah, they do know each other.
Now, that's some new light on the subject.
They do know each other. And, you know, people try to sugarcoat it and don't want things to get crazy. But, yeah, Rihanna was wrong for that. That was crazy.
Hey, man. Well, y'all tell me a clip come from Mike and Mike. Y'all got to tell me where Chris Carter's on there. You can't just have Chris Carter jump up out of nowhere with, they know each other. Hold on, play that again, because everybody else has got to be feeling the same way that I did right there. Like, wait a minute. I was expecting to hear Mike Greenberg, and I got Chris Carter.
Let me tell you something. You know, all this crazy stuff that's going on. Matt Barnes is, you know, is one of the most honest guys I know, one of the most stand-up guys I know. And then for the fact of her to go out her way to do something like that and knowing that they have interaction before.
Whoa, like, whoa. So they do know each other.
They do know each other. Yeah, they do know each other.
Now, that's some new light on the subject.
They do know each other. And, you know, people try to sugarcoat it and don't want things to get crazy. But, yeah, Rihanna was wrong for that. That was crazy.
Chris Carter hit him with the
Yeah, it was Sedano and Chris Carter hosted this morning.
Yeah, my bad. I was expecting, Mike and Mike. I was not prepared for the Chris Carter thing to come up. It's so insane, by the way, that we're discussing this. Just so it's known. Like, I don't really want to get into any level of speculation about this necessarily, right? I do know this, though. Matt Barnes wanted us to know he was dealing with Rihanna. Rihanna didn't want us to know that. That's why you don't talk about that stuff in public. So, hey, Matt, what's going on with you and Rihanna? None of your damn business. That's what it is. Like, Matt Barnes wanted us to know. I just want to know why Rihanna don't. Like, if it really was going down, okay, fine. I feel like, though, Shannon, we paid enough attention to Rihanna, and we've seen enough of the dusty dudes that she's been dealing with over the course of time. Like, of all the dudes to not claim, Matt Barnes would be an interesting choice.
Right.
Like, before all the L's, I think she kicked it with Meek Mill. If you're willing to claim that and not claim Matt Barnes, because Meek dusty as hell. Dusty's such a great adjective, by the way.
Oh, it explains so much.
Dusty's such a great adjective. Dusty, by the way, is an adjective that men very often use to talk about the dudes that their now wives or girlfriends used to date. Like, I have a friend of mine who talks about what he's married to, and he's like, dog, I met all these dusty dudes she was dealing with before. And guess what? I have been referring to them as dusty dudes also. Like, I knew all them cats. Like, if somebody calls you dusty, like, what you trying to say? In fact, when you call somebody dusty, you don't call anybody dusty that you yourself would actually, like, interact with. Like, dusty, somebody that's dusty is always way off in the distance. Like, look at them dusty dudes over there. I can't believe you mess with them dusty dudes. But that's where we are. Shannon, I think I ran out of gas on Rihanna. You got anything else? Because everything else I want to say about Rihanna ain't radio appropriate.
Nah, I'm good.
You good? Man, by the way, how long? You know that fight in the whatchamacallit? The Rams and the Cowboys? You know, it was a 5-minute fight.
Wow, really?
Yes, it was for 5 minutes. At least that's what somebody involved in it just told me. 5 minutes. Said it was a melee. Melee. I got to tell you, one of my life goals from here on out is to never be involved in anything called a melee. Like, melees, you want to talk about involving somebody else. When you're in the melee, it's normally, bro, I got jumped.
Yeah, watching a melee is one thing. Being in the melee, not fun.
So what's the league going to do?
What can they do?
I mean, they sent a memo out about fighting. I just don't know how the league is supposed to legislate this because they want to eradicate it, and I understand why they want to eradicate it. But, like, what are you going to do to stop football players from fighting? Because the whole point.
We need you guys to be less aggressive in practice.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point is to get to the brink and stop short. Like, that's the thing about football that generally becomes, like, where the difficulty comes up in every way. We want dudes to get all the way up to the brink and then stop. Right? We want them to stop off the field. I mean, obviously, but we want to breed these aggressive characters.
You get all the way up, get built up, all the way to that point, and then go home.
And then it's a gentleman's game. Then it's a gentleman's game. Like, really. Good luck with that. Good luck with it. Because, and people like watching them. Don't forget about that part. We enjoy watching the fights. Like, I hope everybody is willing to acknowledge the fact that we enjoy watching the fights. Because I enjoy watching people fight.
I mean,
you enjoy watching people fight?
It was a close-up of Des Bryant getting punched in the face. And, like, people slowed it down and had and zoomed in of him taking a punch today.
I thought Des would be better at fighting than this, to be honest. Didn't you?
You thought he would have the advantage because he's a southpaw?
Yes. I know this, though. That fight went over there on that rail. That's when it could have gotten dangerous. Like, that's the part the NFL doesn't want. If y'all want to fight in the middle of the field, I think they're willing to let it slide. Once they got over there by the customers, and the customers were all excited, but imagine one of them customers had gotten rolled up. Just one. Just imagine. Now, this is interesting. My good buddy Jason Romano, good buddy Jason Romano at ESPN asked the question. He's like, why even have an NFL team versus team practice, though? Because they always end up in fights. Here's the thing. Part of why they end up in fights is those dudes are ready to fight somebody. And if the options of fighting each other or fighting them, I think you're going with fighting them, like, every single time. Like, I just don't think there's any way to pull this off without the fights. The team-on-team fights. Now, I could think of some legendary ones, and we're not even talking about the Steve Smith situations, right?
Are you referring to Mr. Westbrook?
There is Mr. Westbrook. With Michael Westbrook, I forget what Stephen Davis said to him, but I bet he won't say it again. Michael Westbrook, because how many black belts Michael Westbrook got? About 15? And Michael Westbrook threw him to the ground? You ever hear this one, though? You remember Lamar Lathan? All right, so Lamar Lathan played for the Oilers during that crazy year when Buddy Ryan was defensive coordinator. Spencer Tillman used to do TV broadcasts while he played for the Oilers. And apparently Lamar Lathan did not like something that Spencer Tillman said on the broadcast. And Lamar Lathan gave him the beats. The beats. So if it's going to be beat each other up or beat somebody up on the other team, we're taking the other team every time, baby. Every single time. But all right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here on The Right Time. Now, we do this every weeknight, 9 p.m. to 11. 9 p.m. to 11. Shannon Penn, Michelle Smallman, Marvin Prince, thank you so much. The Freddie Coleman Show is coming up next. We will not be here tomorrow, though. We will be back on Thursday night. Thursday night we will be here. Take it easy.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones. Weeknights from 9 to 11 Eastern or on demand at ESPNradio.com.